Hey, this is John coming back to you again with another quick video. I wanted to let people know that Action Figure Authority, or AFA, they have just announced as of yesterday that they are moving over to etched accessory cases. And a lot of you aren't morons or nerds like me and may want to know what that means. Well, let's take a look. On your right, this is an AFA graded Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, and this was just for informational purposes. This is a 1983 with no country of origin, which is what those two dashes mean. Graded U85, so uncirculated 85. As you can see in the case, how AFA has typically presented their figures loose is they just tape to the side the accessories. And so this is the green saber with his gun. And they have in the back you can see the cape or cowl just kind of thrown in there. So that's how they have typically shown accessories for loose action figures. They just recently announced, though, as of yesterday, that they are going to be moving over to etched accessory cases. And what does that look like? Well, this is a Collector's Archive Services Luke Skywalker. And so it's a different grading company. Collector's Archive Services is based in Florida. They're fairly new, maybe 2 or 3 years old, but they do really nice cases, as you can see, and much better in terms of presentation than AFA. AFA is more widely regarded because they've been in the business so much longer, and they have a lot of experts that are really knowledgeable on each toy line. But anyway, AFA, I think because of the way CAS presents their figures, they've decided to go ahead and match them. And so when I say etched accessory cases, you can see what I'm talking about here with how the lightsaber and the weapon are actually etched into a specific case. The mold around the accessories is perfectly molded in there. So it just shows so much better. And I think that it's the right decision. The negative is that AFA is going to increase prices for loose figures. So there's going to be some people that will not be happy about that. But from my perspective, I'd much rather have them charge a little bit more and have etched accessory cases like this one from CAS versus something like this, which just does not present nearly as nicely. It's still a nice case, don't get me wrong, but there's no comparison between these two. And so CAS, like I said, they're based in Florida. This is just for informational purposes. This is a same Luke Skywalker, but this one's got the blue saber, which is more rare. This is a 2-line Lucasfilm Limited Hong Kong version. With a snap cape, and that's graded 85 plus, so it's a really high grade as well. 88.7 is the final score. I don't know how they can get down to a 0.7. I mean, I think that's kind of ridiculous, but I don't know how they can possibly get to that kind of level of detail. But obviously, the case is just incredible, and it's certainly more expensive to case something like this and grade something like this versus the AFA counterpart. But they're both beautiful presentation pieces, but CAS really has the better product right now. And so AFA, I think, probably had some pressure from collectors to match that. And they've been I've seen it on a few Vinyl Cape Jawa figures on eBay and a few others, but they finally did announce that formally. I received an email from them since I am a gold level member with them. But the prices will increase. They've also announced, just for informational purposes, that loose figure submissions are on hold right now because they have a backlog. The loose figure demand to get graded has just overwhelmed them, and they are way behind. So unless you pay up for a higher tier, meaning you're willing to pay more for express service to have your figures graded, then your submissions are on hold. So I would not submit any further loose figures if I were you, unless you're willing to pay for the higher tiers, which I'll go into that in more detail in another video. That's probably not the right time to bring that up right now, but basically the more you pay, the faster they will grade your figures. And so all of the standard submissions have been on hold. They're not taking any more, but they will take loose figure submissions if you're willing to pay for the higher express service costs. And it's not a huge difference in price, but it is substantial enough for a lot of people. It's probably 20% difference for the next tier up, and then for the really fast service, which I believe is a 10-day turnaround, that's very expensive. It's easily 50% more in terms of grading costs. But anyway, to me, I'm excited. Who's excited out there, huh? No, I'm kidding, but I'm excited because I just think it'll be such a better presentation than the old style of presenting loose figures with their accessories. There's just this when people see this, when they walk into my collection room, it's just a really nice presentation, and I think it'll make a big difference for AFA long term. Because between you and me, if the prices are relatively the same for a figure to be graded by CAS versus AFA, I'm sending it to AFA every time, only because those figures tend to have a higher resale demand on the market. The resale values on eBay and elsewhere are higher than CAS graded figures. Now, this is an exception because everyone who sees this knows that this is a much more expensive grading process and casing process than the AFA counterpart. So, something like this does go for significantly more. I think, I don't remember what I paid for these, but, it's been several years. But if I had to guess, I probably paid about $150 for the Luke, maybe $200. I don't remember. But, for the exact same, let's say these two figures were exactly the same. This is actually a more rare version given the blue saber. But let's say this one had a green saber and they were exact same figures. You'd probably be paying at least $50 more, in my opinion, for the CAS graded version, just given how it's presented and the grading costs involved. So, but anyway, that's just some news that most people probably don't care about, quite honestly. But for those of us who do collect graded figures, I think that's interesting news, and I think that for collectors like me who do have some loose figures, I got some prototypes and some other figures that I'm going to get graded uncirculated, like the Boba Fett in one of my previous videos. I'm personally really happy about it because I think it'll just make a huge difference in terms of how they look once they're graded. So, what it boils down to is what does it look like when it's on the shelf and what kind of score do you get? And there's no question that something like this is just way better than the standard AFA format. So anyway, just keep an eye out for that. I'm thinking about putting some more information out there regarding the submission process and how that works. I've looked on YouTube and I have not seen much in terms of how just a basic tutorial, if you will, on how to submit a figure to Action Figure Authority for grading, and what it costs, how to fill out the forms, all that. I'm thinking about doing a video like that if people are interested enough, just doing a sample with maybe one of these figures from my previous video that will be going out in the next 2 weeks or so. So if people are interested in that, let me know that. But anyway, the purpose of this video was just really to announce, to pass along the announcement from AFA that the etched style accessory cases are now going to be standard for all of their loose figures, and that's a big bonus. Even though we are paying a little bit more, I think that, oh, by the way, one other quick note, the pricing for loose graded figures has not been announced yet. That is supposed to be announced on Monday, this coming Monday, the 13th. So, we'll see, but I think it's good news overall. Anyway, sorry to ramble on, but I hope this was useful information, and just any comments, you can put them in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.